Alright, so here we have the 9.3 video notes here, and I apologize for the kind of scrabby handwriting up here. I kind of quickly wrote these notes down here. So as I said before, the first half of this chapter is basically quadratics, graphing quadratics. Now, this second part is mostly solving quadratics algebraically, okay? So the first method that we're going to use to solve, because, what we're doing, let's back it up here, actually. What we were doing here, with the solutions and stuff, we're going to do that, but instead of graphing, now we're going to do it algebraically, okay? So solve by taking square roots, all right? So the first thing you're going to notice is that all of these terms, they're missing the middle term. Essentially, if we add ax squared plus bx plus c, the bx is gone, all right? It's just not even there. There's no x. It's either x squared or the numbers, all right? But if we wanted to solve by taking square roots, what we could do is we're going to isolate the square term, take the square root of both sides, solve for x. This first step here, it's just like solving a regular equation, all right? So I'm actually going to literally mirror it with a regular linear equation right here. So how would I solve this for x? Well, I would add the 16 over. I'm going to do the same thing here. Add the 16 over. Equals 50, 2x squared, and then 2x. Then over here, how do I solve for x? Divide the 2, x equals 25. Now here I'm done. Here, after I divide the 2, you get x squared equals 25. That's the squared term. Now we do step 2 and step 3. I'm going to square root both these sides. Now when I square root, that cancels out this 2 up here because I don't want x squared equals, I just want x equals. So I take that, I get x equals, square root of 25 is 5, but now when I take the square root of a number, I'm going to put a positive and a minus in front of it because that basically tells me that it's both positive 5 and negative 5, okay? So that's how we solve for x there, all right? Just solve it like a normal equation, square root, plus and minus out in front. Let's do this one right here. 3m squared minus 10 equals negative 310. I got to get this m squared by itself, so I'm going to add the 10 to both sides. Negative 310 plus 10 is going to be negative 300 equals 3m squared. Got to get that m squared by itself, so I'm going to divide the 3 on both sides. I get m squared equals negative 100. Take the square root of these, and if you do it in a calculator, you're going to run into a problem. If you try to take the square root of a negative number, shoot, let me even try it on my phone calculator here. Now you can't really see it, but let me just see what it says. Negative square root says error. And the reason is because we cannot take the square root of a negative number, all right? We technically could, but for our purposes that we're dealing with now, if I'm taking the square root of a negative number, I stop there and I write no real solution because I cannot take the square root of a negative number. All right, just can't do that. I'm going to write it up here. Can't take square root of negative number. There's a neg number, all right. All right. So let's go back into here now, all right? Example 3, I need to get that c squared by itself. I'm going to subtract the 15. 2c squared equals negative 50. Divide the 2 on both sides. Get yourself c squared is equal to negative 25. Square root both sides, but hold up. Running into the same problem again. I can't square root negative numbers. I'm just going to use the hashtag symbol for that. Can't square root negative numbers. So I have no real solutions. All right. All right. So now let's move on to example number 4 here. So these next couple examples are going to look a little different. So instead of just having, like, for say this one, like a c squared, we have a whole parenthesis squared. All right. So what does that mean? Well, it doesn't really change what we're doing. We want to get this parenthesis squared by itself, and then we're going to square root the whole thing. So what I'm going to do now is, well, I got to get rid of everything outside of it. The only thing outside is this -4. This -4 is being multiplied to this parenthesis here, so I'm going to divide it on both sides. So I'm going to get 3n minus 1 squared equals 16. -16 over -4 is going to get me, well, just +4. Once I get this parenthesis all by itself, square root both sides. That cancels out the squared part here, and I'm just left with 3n minus 1 equals square root of 4. Remember, when you square root a number, you have to write a plus and minus, and then square root of 4 is just 2. So you get plus and minus 2. So now this is where that third step really comes into play, where we have to solve for the variable, because we're not done with this. We have to find out, well, what is n equal to. So I'm going to set up two equations now, because this is plus and minus. I set up two equations. 3n minus 1 stays the same. The only thing that's going to change is the 2. It's going to turn into +2 and a -2. All right? And then from there, it's just solving linear equations. All right? Add the 1. 3n equals 3. Divide the 3. N is equal to 1. Add the 1. 3n equals -1. Divide the n. N equals -1 over 3. Okay? So that's kind of the parenthesis method there. All right? So let's go to this one. This parenthesis right here. I want to get that all by itself. So we're going to add this 12 over. Again, you do the addition and subtraction first. Add the 12 over. Get yourself 2x minus 3 squared equals -32. This 2 is being multiplied to the parentheses, so I'm going to divide the 2 on both sides. Then you got x minus 3 squared equals -16. Square root both sides. Yet again, I'm running into this negative here. I can't square root a negative. So this one right here would just be no real solutions. Okay? Now, and I apologize for the sounds that our dog here is making. So do this last example number 6 here. So I got to get this parenthesis by itself. I'm going to add this 5 over. You get 3x plus 4 squared is equal to 13. Square root both sides. Now the square root of 13 is going to be not a nice number. You know, it's going to be a long, pretty terrible decimal. But if we take 13, square root it, we're going to get 3.6. And remember, if you square root a number, plus and minus 3.6. Okay? Then from there, you set up two equations. 3x plus 4, 3x plus 4, that stays the same, equals +3.6 and -3.6. The rules are essentially the same for solving them. Subtract the 4. 3x equals, I'll do some math here, -4. That will get me I think 3.6 minus 4. That will give me 0.4, -0.4. Then this will be 3x equals, I believe, -7.6. Divide 3, divide 3, divide 3, divide 3. So x, if you do -0.4 divided by 3, you're going to get -0.13. I'll just write that. And then if you do -7.6 divided by 3, you're going to get -2.5. Okay? There we go, there we go. So that's solving by square roots. That's basically all the notes we have for that. Again, fairly short video. It's a fairly straightforward concept. You're solving equations like you normally are. Again, once you get to these parentheses here, you got to make sure that you set the two equations up, okay? So thank you guys so much for watching this video. I will get more out here soon. Thank you.